Good morning, and Geoff Malleck. It's up there somewhere. It is indeed, and what a pleasure. Thank you to be part of and to close, which is not necessarily a good thing, because there's probably knowledge oozing out of your ears right now. A number of items have been shared with you this morning, and what I'm going to try to do is on the fly, which is always dangerous, is try to piece some of those things that have been shared with you already into what was once a presentation. So bear with me. It's interesting, ePortfolios, and you know, a couple slides, I'll talk about the perils of ePortfolios, and some of them have been expressed, but I'll just do a face-on. Here's what you're facing, right? So I will come to that in a few moments. I'm also very, very, geez, what's the word? When you look in the mirror, and anything that goes wrong I tend to do that more. So negative student feedback is crushing to me, and so I shouldn't be teaching. I know you're all saying that right now. But it's exceptionally helpful in trying to push forward and get better. I think, you know, some of my pre-presenters have forgotten more about effective ePortfolio development and stuff than I have, but I'm okay because I still have lots of leg left in me, and I look forward to continuing to learn based on what I've learned already this morning. So here's what we'll talk a bit about: the peril of pursuing ePortfolios, why it is worth it, the art and science of personal expression. I think I can probably skip over that because you've had that delivered very, very effectively thus far. I will talk in the context of my experience with ePortfolios in the Arts and Business program at Waterloo, and how in trying to build 3 new courses, we used ePortfolios and a couple of other activities to kind of sew the courses together. I think university experience where it's 40 unique and distinct experiences is much less satisfying and much less useful to a student than a patchwork quilt, where they're distinct, but they're sewn together in such a way where there's meaning and purpose. And I can take something from that course and apply it over to there. That's when we've hit stride. And again, I can speak frankly for what I'm trying to accomplish, nowhere close to it, but I see light, and we'll continue to push in that direction. A couple other things as we move forward. So I don't need to talk. So one of the objectives really in ePortfolios is that I think continuity or sameness is a powerful, powerful tool. And one of the challenges, as most of my colleagues know, in the Arts and Business program is they have a different major. They can major anything from women's studies right through to economics, right through to poli-sci and music and so on. So I have students that are assembling in, and of course out of Stratford, the GBDA program. And so I have very, very unique students with very unique perspectives sitting in the same classroom, typically about 150 in size. And try to create a collaborative learning opportunity tends to be a challenge. Right? I have the GBDA students who say, why do I have to use an established platform? I can do a better job with, and they rhyme off a couple software things that I have no idea what the hell they're talking about, right? And then I have the other ones that really, their affinity with technology is texting. And so how do you make that work? And it becomes quite a challenge. It requires, when I say horsepower, I don't mean disrespect, but it means there's a lot of mechanisms that need to play out in order for an ePortfolio work in that type of diverse environment. And yet, it's going to happen. It's got to happen, because from what we've learned today and what a lot of us already knew, if it does happen, it becomes a marvelous, marvelous experience. And so that's what we're going to talk a bit about. So first of all, the perils. Where's my multiple choice, right? Where are my short answers? Where are the essays that I can write on a piece of paper and submit and know what grade I'm going to get because I can actually design the paper to accomplish said task? And Malleck, you're having me think in the abstract. How dare you? Right? And again, I'm hopeful because I have a growing percentage of students that are coming in the class saying, I'll give it a try. And maybe, again, gang, I'm not saying that this is flawed. Maybe it's my messaging that's flawed. Okay? It could well be. Students tend to think highly of me, except in terms of workload and, what's the word? Obscurity or ambiguity of course. I get a little bit wonkers there, but it might be my course titles as well, which I'll share with you shortly. So it does require more from students. It requires an investment from them. But I'm big on advocating 3-year return on investments. Right? ROI is absolutely critical. Give me this much and you'll get this much back. Give me this much, you're going to get this much back. Where are you? Right? And so that's part of we'll say the hype job that we do at the beginning of this experience. What I've also learned, which is marvelous, and Bob, I don't know if you found this, by the time they're done their 3rd year of ePortfolios, They get it. They get it. Christina, who I know Catherine knows because she was very vocal. Year 2, what are you doing to us? Stop this. Stop it now. Year 4, I love it. I got it. Right? As a capstone, culminating activity that pulls it all together, brilliant. Right? And that's the type of thing that can happen if we promote it in a very positive way. And we have I think we are getting more and more tools in our toolbox that we can use to help promote this. It certainly requires more from the institution. Oh my gosh, and you talked to it earlier. The immense power to mark in one semester, 450 ePortfolios twice, which is what I did, and your numbers it's overwhelming. It really is. And so you seek support from the faculty who are saying, well, wait a minute, a normal TA course load is 1 for 150 students, and you want 4? Yeah. Can't happen. So again, I've been very fortunate to have receptive audiences in the faculty that, despite huge pressure to do otherwise, have been very, very welcoming and letting me try this stuff. So you need that academic support from administration. It requires more from you. This is a huge learning curve for this old guy. It really is, because it's taking us into areas of learning that are, I'm going to say, more innovative, newer than the 400-year-old experience that can be teaching. So there is a lot that is demanded of you. Just pure time, patience, which I lack so desperately, but patience to work a student through, I don't know what you want me to do, and being able to share that and get them on board takes a lot of time. Hard to measure. The rubrics, which again I duly noted, because I've developed my own rubrics, and I don't know that they're there yet, but changing, what did I call it? I had a wacky expression. Apparent subjectivity to obvious objectivity as a rubric design is a huge challenge. So that they can say, I expressed myself and yet you gave me this grade. I should get 100 because I expressed myself well. And I said, well, look at the rubric, right? The rubric asks you to do the following. Okay, I appreciate that you expressed yourself, but there is a framework that you have to understand. And I think there's a hardness to defense of this. So a couple things. You talked about your trough of disillusionment. I think I'm in my 4th. I love that expression. I almost started crying when you said that expression. I said, really? Really? What a challenge. So these are the courses, and I need to express to you what the courses are, because you'll help understand why ePortfolios are such a magnificent addition to the course. RBIS 200 is about expression, creativity, innovation, entrepreneurship. So the ePortfolio in 200 is expressive. You can break rules, right? Well, there are certain moral rules you can't break and laws, but there are rules of expression that you can apply to this and get away with it. You're expected to, which is quite different than 300, which is professional development, building your brand in a meaningful way. The power of expression that, again, to your point, Bob, that will get the job. But I think the power of expression in a way that kind of throws the tie on an individual and says, here's my brand, here's my elevator pitch, one of the assignments, here's what I would seek in a mentor, and here's the mentor I will pursue because it's an assignment, right? And it's all wrapped up marvelously in this gift wrap called an ePortfolio. It's a lovely, lovely experience. RBIS 400, and you said something earlier. Where'd it go? I just love the quote. Universities are primarily equipped to look in the rearview mirror. However, here's the paradox in my mind. Students don't have the pleasure or the opportunity to look in the rearview mirror. So while we're teaching in reverse, students are too busy looking ahead at the next course to let anything that happens settle. It doesn't settle in. The pixie dust of learning. How's that? Now that's called being caffeinated. It really is. But it never ever settles. And so to force, I'm going to say force, because sometimes it is, for them to actually hold up a rearview mirror and say, what's happened to me in 4 years? Oh my goodness, I've changed. Seriously. Or in 1 year, but a 4-year look back to when they walk through, just think about your experience in undergrad, right? You walk into the university and you're this, and you walk out of university and you're that. Substantially different type of thing. To take an assignment and capture that change in the individual expressively through visual as well as writing, marvelous. They love it. Because sometimes you get I just haven't thought about that. And I said, well, think about it. because you're at a point now, you're at a crossroads, and part of the assignment in 400 is where are you going to go? The strategic you is going to go where? If you don't have a sense of purpose now, oh my gosh, you're a train wreck, right? So we've given you all this material, we've given you the skills, the knowledge, the attitude to push forward. What are you going to do with that? It becomes quite exciting for them. So I'm skipping over Carla. Sorry, Carla, apologies in advance. I'm going to show you a little bit of Daryl. And, except, where'd you go? There it is. A little bit of Daryl because I have no idea. Oh, there's a letter that nobody really wants to see, and let me get rid of that. It's probably another apology letter I had to write to somebody. This is Daryl. Daryl, and this is 300, in his ePortfolio, and you're saying, well, geez, that doesn't look terribly professional. And yet in my mind, as somebody that's done dozens and dozens and dozens of interviews, I'm interested. I am. It's not the, again, in due respect to the deans that are on the wall there, it's not the nice background with a suit and tie on. It's a person that's pondering. I'm interested, right? And when you look down at some of the assignments that are embedded in this, his elevator pitch, and I'd show it, but we just don't have time. But we see the various types of Daryl expressed. You see the brand, and that's an assignment. Define yourself as a marketing brand, and so on. So we have that as a Daryl, and then we move on to this Daryl. And this is the 400. And just Daryl being Daryl. And scroll down for more information. Okay, he blotted himself out. And then you talk about, we use expressions, heaven help us that we do this, shameful me, is transformation. As an individual, as a species sitting on this earth, how have you evolved in 4 years? And that's the requirement, is I want to see this type of stuff. And I can't grade whether he's expressing transformation as well as he's expressing himself. And it becomes really, really a neat experience. It really is. And he goes, again, the 300 ePortfolio is embedded in this, so people that want to see the professional him can. And the nice thing about good ePortfolios is you get to see the different perspectives. You can turn off the ones you don't necessarily want people to see. But that's something, if I'm Daryl, I'm sending that off to my family. Why not? Right? They've taken him, helped guide him to this point in life. Hey, here's who I am. So it becomes quite interesting that way. And let's see if I can make this work, because I'm just about done. And we'll be glad to take some questions. Just don't ask anything difficult. We are in challenges. We're continuing to refine. The initial, one of the other goals, what am I at? 1 minute? Okay. One of the other goals was to create several other streams that run through all 3 courses. One of those consistent elements was me. I taught 200, 300, 400. They deserve an extra degree for that. But they did. Now, it's just the inability to do all 3. So now we have somebody else doing 300 who, thank goodness, buys into and subscribes to the ePortfolio thing. And will continue to push that forward in hers. We had a number of assignments, and we've really had to change. These are 30%, and 20% of the course. So unlike one that's voluntary, this is heavily graded. It's a big part of their experience in the Arts and Business program in these 3 courses. They also do a group ePortfolio, aka a website that they also develop, which is neat because it gets to show the talents and the diverse talents rather of the team. And then again, the last point, challenges in a depleted environment in terms of resource. So I'll conclude with that. Sorry, I could have gone on. You knew that. Catherine knows that. Everybody here knows that. But there, I'll conclude with, leave that up and invite questions. Do we have time for 1 or 2? Anybody? Oh, good. Because I'll just direct them over to the previous speakers anyway. It's good.
You said that portfolio didn't look professional, but I mean, how do you define professional? I think maybe you're coming at it from maybe too much of a business side, something like that. I look at a lot of portfolios of artists and different types of things right in there.
No. When I said it doesn't look professional, I'm not degrading the presentation. I'm actually complimenting because it doesn't look like a resume. So if professionalism is the word is defined by a resume, a bio, or a CV, I'm delighted with Daryl.
Another question to you, and you mentioned it better with Daryl as well, this notion of self-expression of the student.
Yeah.
How these can be very important for self-expression. Can you try to get the students to reflect on how they can present their, say, intellectual growth without it being about than their own self-expression. Because I think one of the concerns I have is that we're in a society that's so much about self-expression. We forget to think about ideas as in their own right. We put ourselves ahead of the idea. And I think that's in an educational environment, the university especially. I think that's a slippery slope.
I agree. And I guess the offset to that, Skid, I don't know if I'm answering it properly, but the offset of that is they do an awful lot of group work in the course that is expected to be embedded into the ePortfolio as well. So it's not just the all about me story. It's in what I really talked to was Darrow in the context of his mentor, and mentorship is an expansion of self as well. But the group work, which would also be would be applied to the ePortfolio, does broaden it beyond the shameless art of self-promotion. Yeah, that's a great question. Yes, Christine. Yeah.
I have a couple of questions. Maybe you mentioned it and I missed it. So is one of the goals for these ePortfolios that they actually will use them for prospective employers? The
long-term goal is for this to become an expectation. Once upon a time, resumes weren't required for employers. I'd like this to replace that in a meaningful way. I think so. I think when employers catch up to this, and we're talking maybe a number of years before our graduates start that have done this and savor it, will be now in the interview stage where they're actually meeting with students and saying, so what do you have to show me in terms of an ePortfolio? I think it's going to happen.
But do you make that clear to the students?
I do. I say it's a long term. I mean, are you getting requests for an ePortfolio now? I don't know, right? I'm not getting any evidence of that. But I think it's, again, this is me from the private sector looking in, I think it's a matter of time, because the thing that I like about ePortfolios is it expresses the values and the uniqueness of an individual that a resume simply fails to do. When I'm looking at 200 applications for 2 jobs, I'm looking at candidate grade A eggs, right? And so what I need to see are, do the ambitions, the capacity to learn, the values align with what my company's all about? And if it's a yes, then that moves them closer. And the best way to get to yes is through these type of experiences.
And I just have a
Of course.
question. What is your emphasis on writing, so actual writing skills? Because we heard about that earlier.
Yeah. Yeah. They're graded on a number of things. Certainly the artifacts that assemble the feel, what we call it the look and the feel of the assignments, and then of course what's written and the way it's framed and the degree of efficiency versus effectiveness in what they write. It's a bit of a, every now and then you're a bit disappointed with the quality of the writing, but as a responsible university, that gives us an opportunity to, let's nip that in the bud right now. You're not writing at a level that's going to help you through this program. Let's get you some help. And that's where having more hands on deck to identify those problems and help solve them through things like student success and over in the learning areas of the university are hugely powerful as supports.
What have you found to be the best motivators in terms of getting students to invest a lot of time into making a meaningful?
Threats. There's the parent in me. Yeah, contingent reward. No, I don't. I know what I say and I know what my intention is. I don't know if it resonates to the level I hope it does, but I'm continuing to polish the show. Is a sense of potential. The what's in it. Great marketing 101 is what's in it for them. And when you can paint that picture and get them excited about the potential and say, listen, it's not an overnight thing. There is an ROI, but it's an investment. I don't know. They seem to nod their heads. Well, they're updating their Facebook, but they're still nodding their heads. Yeah, no, I think your point is obviously there's a mark component, and I'm often critical of the experience. I know Catherine's going to hit me soon, but I'm often critical of students that are focused only on the mark. And I'm quite honest with them. If that's the only reason you're here, this is not going to be a satisfying experience. You have to look beyond the mark. And I know that 20% are there for the mark. Give me the piece of paper. Get me the heck out of here. Can I influence them? I don't know. I try. Do I? Do I get the 60% in the middle that say, listen, I'm a Missouri State person. Make me believe. I think I can move a good number of those over. The top 20% are the ones that just never let you go because they have savored the opportunity and dug in. So short answer is it depends on the audience or the individual I'm speaking to. But why not inspire?
Okay, we have time for one more question, then I have to wrap up. It's always a great thing when people want to ask questions, so it means we're getting right notes, but unfortunately we have to leave. Unfortunately, we have Judy.
Judy.
I was actually interested in whether there's peer review that goes on.
Within the classroom, you mean?
You know, do the students have an opportunity to see each other's?
Yes, they do. In 300, they actually grade each other's. And again, I'm not sure if it's still done, but when I had it, they graded each other's, and I graded them on their ability to grade each other's.
Well, thank you very much, Geoff, myself, Paul.
Thank you.